Hello and welcome to this week's episode of For the Love of Chiropractic, Keys of My Success. On this podcast so far just this year, I've had the pleasure of interviewing some of the most phenomenal chiropractors from all around the world, all walks of life, from chiropractic royalty and leaders of our profession like Dr. Chuck Gibson, Dr. Larry Markson, Dr. Noel Lloyd, Dr. Danny Drubin, as well as some of the brightest, smartest, most successful chiropractors still in practice today. And on today's episode, we get to speak with a doctor who's a D1 athlete. That's a Division I athlete who played quarterback at Clemson University. He's been practicing in Pinehurst, North Carolina, as he has been for the past 30 years. He's a past president of his state association. He has a master's degree in sports health science and athletic training. He has served on the chiropractic team for every men's and women's U.S. Open that has traveled through Pinehurst. And with his guidance, other family members have become chiropractors, including his brother, several nephews, and his own son is well on his way to becoming a chiropractor. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode with Dr. Justin Bode. Hello and welcome to Secrets of My Success, part of For the Love of Chiropractic podcast series. On each episode, I'll be interviewing one highly successful doctor or business person, asking them what are their 3 keys of success or secrets they've used to make themselves so highly successful. So let's get started with today's show. I had the opportunity to catch up with Dr. Justin Bode by phone. Justin, are you there?
I'm here.
Justin, it is so good to catch up with you and chat with you on the phone and really hear all about your practice and what makes you just such a huge success in the world of chiropractic. But before we go too far, tell me again, when did you graduate chiro school? How many years have you been a chiropractor?
So I finished up at Life University down in Atlanta in the, first quarter of 1997. So we're here 28 years, almost going on nearly 30 years in practice at this point.
That is awesome, and congratulations. That is fantastic. So tell me about your path how'd you become a chiropractor? 'Cause as we were talking before we started the recording, your path into chiropractic, like everybody's, is unique, but yours is very unique. So go ahead and tell me about that.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting story. Never really had chiropractic on my radar like a lot of folks. Interestingly enough, I had great-grandparents and grandparents and uncles and cousins. They were all had their own pharmacies and were all medical doctors, believe it or not. And so going through school and everything, and I'll backtrack in a minute, I was in pharmacy school, heading that route before things changed. But I'd grown up very athletic, played every sport, whatever season it was. When you grew up in the 70s and 80s, your parents pushed you out the door and you went to either baseball or football or swim practice or golf practice, and you just were busy year round, and you kind of swam and played basketball all year round. But through the sports and being a roughneck teenage boy, ended up with some pretty good, concussions throughout the years of football, which, were not even thought about or diagnosed at the time. You didn't leave practice without seeing stars. You really didn't lay a lick on somebody back in those days. And so the neck took a beating, the shoulders, upper back, and then you throw in a couple of crazy learning to drive experiences as a 17, 18, 20-year-old, and you get a couple fender benders under your belt. And so the spine had endured some trauma along the way. And,
but wait a minute. I gotta cut you there. You're being too modest. You didn't just play football. What division football did you play?
Well, I claim with a disclaimer, I played football at Clemson University, which was a pretty powerful program. We had the number 1 overall defense in the nation and ended up 7th in the nation back when I was playing in the late 80s and the early 90s under Coach Ford. It was a great experience. And then
and what position did you play?
I was a quarterback, and we had a team coming up when we were growing up that probably was 80% the same group of guys our junior and senior year in high school that started playing together when we were probably 10, 11, and 12 years old. So we knew the offense like the back of our hand. We knew whatever each other were thinking. And our backfield, I had the fastest guy in the state in the hurdles and the fastest guy in the state in the 100-meter dash behind me. And they made me look really good. We could run an option and fake anybody out and burn them around the corners at any time we wanted to, for the most part.
And there's that modesty coming through again, because I'm certain you were an amazing quarterback and player in your day. But okay, so fast forward. So you got all beat up to hell like so many of us do, and especially in a D1 program. So go on from there.
Yeah, and so ended up finishing up school at the University of Florida, and obviously with all the injuries that I incurred along the way, coming from a family full of the medicinal type of things, we treated a lot of symptoms and with some success, but as we all know now, the cause was never really focused on until I got chiropractic care, and that changed my life. And my dad got remarried. It was interesting at the time. You know how God gives you these little God winks. And 2 or 3 things happened. His brother-in-law was a chiropractor, so I started shadowing him. And people, but even before that, had mentioned, you have to look into chiropractic. It was, I've got some friends that are chiropractors. You look like you could, And so one thing led to another, and I thought I better start listening to what Innate out there is telling me to do. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I did it, it just gelled with me from an athletic background. I mean, I'm on my feet. I'm working with the human body. I'm helping people, with their function, their mobility, their structure. And then you throw in the fact that what put chiropractic on the planet was taking interference off the nervous system and letting innate flow. And that changes everybody's world, whether you realize what's happening or not.
Oh, exactly. So, having said that, so tell me about your practice now. What makes your practice unique now?
That's a great question. We're in Pinehurst, North Carolina, which has grown significantly in almost 30 years that we've been here. But it's a golfing resort retirement community. And when we first went around, we'd meet people as a 26, 27-year-old, my wife and I. They were like, what in the world are you two doing in Pinehurst, North Carolina? There's nobody here but, us old people that are retiring and swinging golf clubs. And I said, well, I'm here to open up a chiropractic practice. And they pause and they think, you're a genius. Because, in their neuromusculoskeletal head, they thought, well, neck pain and back pain, us old people keep swinging golf clubs. You're never going to, run out of people to see. Mm-hmm. But, the unique thing about our practice is that, we gel with where we live. It's great. But one of the unique things about my office that I don't take lightly is that I've got my wife and I started the practice. So that's almost a 30-year team that's been together. And I've got 2 other CAs. One's been with me 22 years, and the other one's been with me 17 years.
Wow.
And so when you have a community the size of Pinehurst with a husband and wife and 2 staff, that the 4 of us have been together for that long, the whole town knows us. Mm-hmm. The gals in the office go to dinner. We go out in the community. People see us. They recognize us. And it's been significant keeping those gals happy and taking care of them and their families. It means a lot to me, and it means a lot to the people that see the continuity of our office, and it means a lot to people that have ever tried to start a business and hire and recruit and maintain good talent. And that I think that resonates with a lot of people. But I'm also a past president of the North Carolina State Chiropractic Association. So I've traveled around the state. The people in town, recognize, the leadership and the involvement that I've been, not only in the state, but, we've had an opportunity to sponsor, like a lot of folks do, sports teams and coach teams. And I've got 2 boys myself that are now 24 and 22 that have kept us involved in the community. And being the home of American golf, we have U.S. Opens that come through here. And people recognize in my practice that I've been on the chiropractic team, taking care of the golfers and their caddies and their families when they want care during these big tournaments. And so, we've got a pretty unique place down there. It's a unique place to live. It's a great place to raise a family and good quality of life here.
That's fabulous. So, and how many years have you been in your practice now?
Yeah, we started here in '97. I graduated in the spring or in the first quarter of '97, and by December we were under roof with a build out and working. So since 1997, 28 years or so.
So you went straight from school straight into practice.
I moved right to North Carolina. I joined the North Carolina Chiropractic Association my last 2 years of chiropractic school at life. So I started coming to their spring and fall conventions. Mm-hmm. And smart thing that I did is to meet the movers and shakers of the state at that time. And so when I graduated, I knew these guys, and they were, the past presidents at the time, which is kind of a similar model that I followed.
Sure.
Started consulting. And so I hired them. We did kind of demographic studies, if you would, on a few towns across the state. And Pinehurst ended up being the winner.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Well, not surprising. I mean, Pinehurst is always a winner. But okay.
It's a great spot.
Yeah, that is absolutely fantastic. You said something that you glossed over a little bit, and I just want to drive the point home. For young docs to get out and meet successful doctors, the movers and the shakers, whether it's in the town where they're in chiropractic school or their hometown where they're from, or certainly the town where they're thinking about going to practice, show up and introduce yourself. And again, correct me if you don't agree with me, but anytime you find a successful doctor, the movers and the shakers, in my experience, they are more than happy to take time to meet, greet, talk to, and help a young doc who's trying to become successful themselves. Do you agree with that?
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah.
The leaders are the ones that need to be, nurturing people, or that's just part of being a leader. But the successful docs are the ones that, you're right, take the time, and they're the coaches, they're the leaders, they're the promoters of the profession around the state. Their doors are always open, for new docs, and, every new doctor that's come to town as a past president of the state association, we invite them over, or, if they're coming from Sherman, or if they're coming for life, or they're coming, in their last quarters of school and they're looking for docs to shadow for a day or 2 or 3 days, we'll have the students come in and hang out with us and see if they can learn a few things and ask a bunch of questions. And, a high tide's going to raise all ships, and, every profession out there is going to benefit from that.
Exactly. Well, one of the things that I always tell students when they come to visit the practice is try and keep up. Because we are moving. Try and keep up.
Sometimes they get a little overwhelmed when you tell them how many people we're getting ready to see at the beginning of the day, but they figure it out.
Yeah, we're changing lives. Okay, so that's phenomenal. So with the huge success that you've been and continue to be, obviously both in chiropractic and even before playing D1 as a quarterback. So I want to start transitioning into really the focus of our interview, which is, let's talk about your 3 keys of success. What do you want to tell people?
The 3 keys, I kind of will break this down into 3 parts, and then, kind of subdivide those parts. But the first thing is, I would say, a key to the success in any business for that, but even more so in a chiropractic practice, is being present. And by that, there are 3 things that we kind of focus on in the office. People will talk about present time consciousness and everything, but that's really where you need to be present. When you hit the door in the morning, reset yourself, be ready to know that you're going to be putting your hands on folks. And that's all you've got. You've got 2 hands in the chiropractic adjustment, and that person laying under your hands expects something. They don't even realize that they're expecting, a change in their overall well-being and overall, health, just by you putting your hands on them and giving them a chiropractic adjustment. It takes a lot of education. They have to hear that a number of times to realize how special what that is. But if you're present with your patients, and basically being present with your patients, if you're going to lead them, the first thing, I think is doesn't have much to do with telling them, what to do or what they need to do, but is first just listening. You can't. And we all know how many folks, come into a chiropractor's office and they've been everywhere and nobody's listened to them.
Yep.
They've just been force-fed another prescription or told what to do, and the guy's out the door and they're left there wondering, God, I had so many questions to ask him and I didn't have an opportunity. But if you can first listen and, be present and just be authentic with people, I find that goes, a long way. The other thing you need to be present with is your office. Like I said, I've got, a gal that's been with me, my whole life, and my wife. I've got two others that have been there for 22 years and 17 years. They know the office just as well as I do sometimes, if not better, because they see what's happening at the front desk. They know the patients, ins and outs of their attitudes and their wishes and wants. And we all know patients will talk to the staff, sometimes as much or more than the doc. And so when they've got some information to offer or recommendations to give that's going to make the practice work and flow and function better, then it's worth listening to them and being present with those folks too. And never think that you don't have something to learn from them either. I mean, that you give them ownership and you give them power when they come up with something that you're able to implement in the office and it makes things better. It makes them know that they're in the right place and they're at home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, we can say what a job duty looks like. We can say, how it should be done, but they're doing it. And if they say, well, I know you said to do A, B, and C, but if we do A, C, and then B, I think it's better for the patient. What do you think, Doc? It's faster, easier, and you go, you know what? Yeah, let's at least try it.
Exactly. I would recommend to anybody that has, a CA or anybody involved in their office to give them a recommendation that, I would say, let's try it. It sounds great. Be promoting, be upbeat, be, a big cheerleader. And then if it works, you've done a great job. They've been empowered. And if it doesn't work, they appreciate you at least offering and giving it a try.
Exactly. We tried it.
You can never go wrong with that.
Right. We tried it. Didn't work, and we'll keep moving forward. And if it does work, at least, and in my practice, I'll bet you're the same way. You know what? They came up with something that works. They get kudos forever on that.
Right.
Yeah.
The last thing as far as being present, I'd say is just be present with your stats too. You want to know and make sure your numbers look, like they're growing month to month, year to year. Be engaged and keep your finger on your pulse. We'll always say record keepers or record breakers. So you want to keep your eye on that too. And then the other two things, the three, as far as three keys, being present, the first one, the other one's don't be allergic to hard work. I said a minute ago, my wife and I, when we came here in the late 90s, meeting all these people, it was my goal to have 1,000 people on a mailing list the day we opened. And so while we're getting our floor plan put in, my wife and I knocked on doors and went all over the place. She didn't like it some of the time, but it paid off. And if, I always say to people, the kids that come through, I say kids, the doctors that are coming through shadow in the office, successful people are just people. But there are people that are willing to do what the unsuccessful people aren't willing to do.
Exactly.
So if you think it's beneath you to go do a screening in a mall or at your chamber of commerce or something, who knows how far reaching one of those screenings may be. Screening a mom that has a child that doesn't know, anything about chiropractic care and that you could, possibly help their children. That's a big win.
Yeah.
And then just staying busy in your community, is the other key to success. Be out there, be seen, be a giver, give back to your community, your church, join a Rotary Club, be involved in the JCs when you're getting your practice going, and then continue to maintain some type of involvement. Makes a big difference too. Sponsoring, golf tournaments is a big thing around here, or sponsor a tee marker or a basketball tournament, whatever it may be.
Right. So it's one thing to be seen. Okay, I'm out in the community. I'm seen. Yeah, I grocery shop where I practice, and I use the dry cleaner near the office. Yeah, and that's all well and good, and that's important. But being part of the community, being an important part of the community, being a giver. That when you said that, the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. Yeah. be involved in the community, not just being part of it.
Yeah, that shows that you're engrossed in what's going on, and you're embedded in the community when you're helping things stay healthy community wise.
So okay, so these are your keys of success, and time is starting to run on us, unfortunately. So with the be present, don't be allergic to hard work, aka work hard, and
Right.
and be part of the community. So and you've been hugely successful. How do you define business success?
Yeah, that's a good question. Um, you know, first just surviving for 30 years in the chiropractic profession. Most practices or businesses, for that matter, how many of them fail in the first 3 years?
Mm-hmm.
So, I wouldn't overcomplicate this business success. People will put a lot of things on, what you've able to have accomplished or what you've been able to accumulate. Business success is taking care of your staff and having a staff that's been there forever and likes coming to work with you every day. Being able to have business success means you put your feet on the floor in the morning, you got a smile on your face, and you're looking forward to going where you're going. How many people get up and get in their car and dread where they're going? Establishing, strong foundations and things like that in the office, and having those things stick with people and change your staff's lives and your life, and being able to promote chiropractic in your community so that everybody has a better understanding of what chiropractic is. It's a big thing for me. We'll invite a lot of the doctors around in our town are all friends. We all adjust one another and try to promote each other's practices when we have the opportunity to do so.
Sure.
And I think having the authenticity and the self-esteem and a busy practice, we all have good practices around here, is in that you feel comfortable being able to promote that and not feel like somebody's stepping on your toes or trying to take something away from you when they're coming to town or trying to build a practice. Look, there's plenty of spines around. We're only still seeing a smaller percentage of the population than we need to be seeing. So we need to be out there. But having a model practice, around the state for people to come and learn, and that we can have them shadow us or mentor us or teach their CAs what to do. It's been good. But we've had a consulting group here as well. We've had as many as 6 practices around the state that we bring doctors up, teach them, and sell the practices back to them. And that's kind of the same model I came up with. And that's been a big feather in my cap, seeing these guys succeed and continue to do the same thing we're doing here in our office.
Yeah, I love that. When you help a young doc succeed, when they're trying to figure it out, and they do figure it out, the feeling that I get, it's like watching your own kids succeed.
It really is.
It's like, you sit back and go, yeah, you go. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really good. And, you develop friendships forever. And now you have a text thread with all these guys, and you can kind of bounce questions back and forth. And again, same thing as with your staff. They get into practice, see different things. Some of these young guys are seeing new things. They're a little more savvy maybe with the tech stuff, and they can give us guys that have been around for 30 years a little easier way to do things here and there, a little more efficient. And so it's the little bit bigger war chest, having more docs out there, seeing people that you can kind of pick their brains as well sometimes too.
Absolutely. As long as we always remember, you got to get the bone off the nerve so the innate flows.
At the end of the day, that's the goal in
our
world.
So if that's business success, and using your 3 keys and your phenomenal practice, that all makes perfect sense. Well, here we are on the phone. It's you and me, and of course the rest of the world listening. How do you define, Justin? How do you define personal success?
Yeah, that's another great question too. That obviously is going to vary from person to person. But for me, personal success is being able to have a life that fulfills you. I've been a goal setter, and I've been somebody that kind of envisions and try to, almost pray and manifest and think about what my life, should look like. And it's interesting, there's been obviously hiccups in life. You never know what it's going to give you. But for the most part, when you can, look back or get up every day with a smile on your face, and you have a nuclear family that's everybody's been able to stick together. You got a town that you live in that which is just, we put some effort into it, but it's almost, so much you just think of it being luck, but somebody's had a hand on putting you where you need to be if you're open-minded and are thinking about where you want to be and what you want to do. But it's just having that fulfillment in the town that you live in, and the church you go to, and the family that you get to work with, and the nuclear family that you go home with that supports you, and you're seeing them succeed. You hope that part of the reason that they're succeeding is from the examples that you've lived by, and quietly kind of just gone about your business and shown them through actions, more so than preaching about what they need to be doing. And then at the end of the day, having the success to have the time and the ability to kind of call some shots here and there, and be able to enjoy it. Take some breaks or have the time, and not be beholden to being over the chiropractic table every day, being able to take some vacations and enjoy things, and spread that around, and do things with your family and your friends and your community and your staff that put smiles on their faces too.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I couldn't agree more. So I've got two last questions, and we just have a couple minutes left. So
Sure.
So you've mentored, young doctors. You've been in practice for a couple decades now, and been hugely successful. You continue to be active in the chiropractic profession, obviously. My question is, in today's world, is it possible for a young doc who's just come out of school, or someone who's been in practice but hasn't found success yet, is it possible for them to still become a huge success starting now?
100%, and I refuse to think otherwise. The chiropractic profession's got some work to do globally to get the message out, really define what chiropractic is, so that the people and the public know what it is. Okay, so the profession itself's got some work to do. But if you are not, like we talked about earlier, afraid of hard work, that almost works to your advantage. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you want to go out, if you want to mentor under somebody that knows what they're doing, that's been able to be successful and create the life that they wanted, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's out there. I mean, these guys will are happy to show you what they do, how they do it, and the message that comes across for people, because people are looking. They're online now. I mean, they're looking for. They don't want the drugs. They don't want the surgeries. They realize these days they have access to all that information, and it doesn't work. And so they are just looking. If you're willing to get out there and work hard and meet people, there is no better time to be a chiropractor. Because let's be honest, when you get out there, how many of these folks, are just mailing it in? They don't want to work hard. My guy down the street, he doesn't have to work that hard. How come I have to work this hard to get things going? It's because that's the way that it is. Yep. It's just, it's not going to build itself. But I tell my boys all the time, it's all about delayed gratification. Mm-hmm. Put that gratification down the road. Put the hard work in now for 10, 12, 15 years. And, then you can kind of do your things that we talked about earlier, being present, being successful, don't be allergic to hard work, be busy in your community. And once you've established those things, it's almost like clockwork. You're already doing it. Oh, yeah. And it's just second nature.
And then it pays huge dividends. Absolutely. Okay. Last question. So if someone has heard this interview and they've heard, your 3 keys to success, and they really vibe with your definition of business success and personal success in your life, and they say, well, man, okay, you know what? I'm ready. What's their first step?
I would say the first step is to search where they're going to be, where they would like to practice, live in a place where you feel like you're almost on vacation. And once you figure out where you're headed, you look around and see, who the docs are that are making a difference in that community, and reach out to them, take them to lunch, and I guarantee you offer to take them to lunch, and they'll take you to lunch.
Exactly.
Probably as often as you care to listen to them and mentor them. And mentor from them, they will be happy to help you get started. Because, like I said, at the end of the day, a high tide is going to raise all boats. They don't want. They want people to be practicing chiropractic in their town. That's going to give chiropractic a great name and a great look. And so that would be a first off. Join your state association. Get involved. Let people know you're willing to learn and willing to give. And if you get started off with those first two things, the rest will kind of fall into place. Those mentors will give you step 3, 4, 5, and 6 as you learn.
Justin, that is amazing. I can't thank you enough for taking the time, making the time, sharing your knowledge and wisdom. Dr. Justin Bode, this has been amazing, and thank you so much for all that you're doing.
It's been my pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity, and wish everybody well, and especially you, Doc. Appreciate you doing this for our profession.
Oh, thank you. We'll chat soon.
Sounds good. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, and that's our show for today. If you have a question about today's show or your own practice, feel free to reach out at fortheloveofchiropractic.com. Before making changes to your practice, be sure to seek legal advice regarding those changes and regulations in your state. For the Love of Chiropractic is an RGF production, all rights reserved. And thanks for listening. Original music provided by Hunter Rich Music.